Ah, the open trail. Nothing quite like that sense of freedom and adrenaline as you fly over the ground, your faithful steed, that only ends when you manage to find the floor with your face. Then that creeping realization when you get back on your horse that something's not quite right. Something's broken. It's not you. Which means you have to go back to the shed and fix it. So even after properly indexing the rear derailleur, your shifting is still sloppy, even in the stand. Chances are it could be your derailleur hanger. The small piece of metal that actually attaches your rear mech to the frame. Your mech hanger is actually sacrificial, and it's designed to fail before your mech does. However, if it is out of alignment, it will lead to terrible shifting. For your shifting to be crisp and accurate, the cage holding your jockey wheels has to be held perfectly parallel to the sprockets in your rear cassette. Any deviation and terrible shifting will be the result. If this is suspected as the cause for your poor shifting, you'll have to measure the alignment using a gear hanger alignment tool. A very specialist bike tool, which to be honest, not many people will have in their sheds, but more of us certainly should. The first step is to remove your rear mech and any shifting cables, and then we are able to attach the tool. So we're going to drop the rear mech or derailleur for our American viewers. So with the derailleur removed, it's now time to attach our hanger alignment tool. So I'm going to apply a little bit of grease to the threads of this. That should go on nice and easy. If there's any resistance, then the threads may be damaged on the mech hanger and you might need to clean them out with a dye or just resort to fitting a fresh hanger. So, what's the order of play? Once your tool is attached, what is the order and what's the process for measuring up against the rim? Let's look at that in a bit more detail. So, we want to ensure the wheel is straight in the frame. So just readjust any quick release or through axle there to ensure that the wheel is true and solid into the frame. Start off by locating the valve on the rim. We want to use this as our constant datum that we're measuring the rim from, because when we move the wheel, then that will take into account any dishing or lack of trueness within the wheel. As we're not concerned about whether the wheel is true, we're concerned about whether the cassette plane is perpendicular to the plane of the mech hanger. So we're going to measure this at 90-degree intervals. We work with the horizontal first, measuring at the 3 and the 9 o'clock positions. And then once that's done, we move to the vertical and adjust the 6 and the 12. And then we measure again at the 12, 9 and 6 o'clock positions, ensuring they are all within 3 millimeters of each other and making readjustments as required. Now, if the mech is severely damaged and it survives the realignment process, it will probably be okay for a short period of time, but it will break. If we're going to make major adjustments, it's always good practice to have a spare mech hanger, even if you have perfect shifting, because you don't know when that's going to happen. So, how do we go about actually making the measurements? Well, let's start off by bringing the tool to 9 o'clock position, and we'll bring the measuring rod out to the rim, and we'll bring that in and measure the rim. Now the rod will also have O-rings that allows you to mark where that is. So if you bring it out, you can reposition it. Before we turn the tool, always bring the measuring portion back in so that it won't mar or catch on the rim. If there are elements of the frame or racks or panniers that are in the way, because we've got the O-ring, we can move it out of the way and bring it back in. So with the process discussed, let's get to it and measure it in this instance, because I feel this one's going to be a doozy. So our valve is at 9 o'clock. Bring the tool out and we get to a point where it's within 3mm. If you're unsure, use a 3mm hex wrench to measure that gap. I've marked it with the O-ring, so I'm going to bring that out, rotate that round, turning the wheel with it to the 3 o'clock position, and you'll see that that is quite significantly off. That gap is 3 fingers rather than 3mm. So, time to use the tool as a lever to bend that mech hanger back into shape. Here we go. So now we'll measure for the vertical. Fabulous layout. So as you can see, we now have accurate measurement of 3mm at 3 points of measurement that are 90 degrees separated. So we have 12, 9 and 6 o'clock all within 3mm. As you saw there, after working horizontally, moving vertically, there was adjustments going back and forth for each position, and you work over it and over it until you have it 100% or as close to as you can get. If you're within that 3mm, then you're within that plus or minus realm of tolerance where you're not going to notice it in your shifting. After this, the next step is to remove the tool, refit the mech, and then index and adjust the mech as you would normally. Make yourself a cup of tea. Good job, done well. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, remember to give us a like and subscribe down below, and share your top tips for tools that you should have in your bike shed that you don't see often enough in other people's. Thanks for watching. Happy trails.